Well, good morning on this sunny and snowy morning here. If you happen to be somewhere around my area, lots of places in Southern Ontario don't have snow, but we are lucky to have a beautiful snowy morning here. And maybe the snow isn't your thing, but I love it. So today I wanted to work with the theme of letting go. Lots going on in the world and in Canada right now, and I know that when I listen to the news, I can feel my anxiety levels sometimes starting to rise up, and I think that's normal. I think that's actually even appropriate, because when we have some anxiety, it can be a motivating force to really do our part, but it can easily flip over into another state, which is shut down or freak out or whatever it looks like for you. And so today I really want to work with the breath and the idea of softening and letting go. There's so many things that we cannot control in this life, and letting go is the way to finding peace. For me, the worst time is first thing in the morning. I usually wake up really early, and I don't want to get out of bed when it's dark and cold. And so if there's something on my mind, that's when it starts to spin out for me. Now, you may have a totally different pattern in your life. And what I try to do when I get into that place, first of all, getting up is really the best thing, is just to get up and get moving my body. But if that's really not where I'm at, working with the breath and just a slow, easy exhale, and the idea of letting go and imagining those disturbing thoughts just going out with the breath. Visualizing that process happening, that seems to work for me. Not always, because sometimes those thoughts can be even stronger than my will to release them. But as a practice, if we do this regularly, it can help to move things through a little more easily when that time comes. So we're going to work with the idea of letting go with the breath this morning. We're going to start seated, and I will meet you on the chair here. I see my dog has taken over my mat as usual. I think we just move the screen so I can still see. Okay, so there's a lot of sun this morning coming in through the window, so sometimes I look a little darker with the with the camera. So hopefully it adjusts so that I am visible. So taking a moment, finding a seat. You can sit on the floor if you prefer, sitting in a chair. And we'll start by simply tuning into noticing the body how it is right now. So every single emotion that we have has some physical manifestation in the body, whether it's, that feeling of butterflies, of nervousness or excitement, or whether it's the sort of tenseness in the stomach of nervousness or whatever it plays out for you in your body. Just take a moment and notice what's present for you this morning. What are you aware of? Do you feel tension in your jaw or your shoulders? And this isn't even necessarily a time to change any of that, but to simply bring awareness. Often when we find something that feels a little bit uncomfortable for us, we immediately push it away. And pushing away is different from letting go. So letting go is the process of accepting what is in each. Okay, I am back, and it looks like my internet cut out. So I'm now on my cell phone, and hopefully we won't have any more technical glitches this morning. So wherever you're at, coming back to just a sense of checking in with your body, noticing what's present without trying to change anything, simply bringing awareness to whatever is true for you right now. As well as paying attention to any sensations that are in the body, accepting whatever is there. Notice also the state of your mind this morning. So does your mind feel busy? Does it feel like I described it earlier, sort of going in that circular thought pattern that often doesn't solve anything? Or perhaps you're just really focused and listening and very present this morning. Or maybe you're a little bit of each, a little distracted, a little present. See if whatever you notice, you can let go of any judgment, any need for it to be different. So again, letting go isn't pushing away or numbing out. It's really about being with whatever is present, but choosing not to let it become an obsession, to not get stuck there. So one way to work with letting go, sort of at that physical level, is to use a breath that's, a releasing kind of breath, and you can actually make some sound as you exhale. This is totally optional. If you don't feel comfortable with that, that's fine. But it can be helpful to release some tension, especially around the throat, the shoulders, the chest, the face, the jaw, to just make a little either sighing or humming sound as you exhale. So we'll take a few breaths with that emphasis on just really letting go with the exhale. And if some sound wants to emerge, let it happen. And if not, that's fine. So you can exhale through the mouth for this one. So inhale. Take a few breaths. Exhaling whatever way helps you to feel more soft, more released, letting go. There's no need to take any special full breath or breathe in as much as you can or anything like that. Just a regular breath. And then some way of just feeling a sense of softening with your exhale. And letting your arms down to your sides, will lift the shoulders. And again, finding that release with the exhale. If sound wants to happen, let it happen. And then raising the arms, keeping the shoulders soft. Take your time, go at your own breath rhythm. And again, that sense of releasing, making some sound if that feels right for you as you exhale. And then letting the arms hang down at your sides. Imagine there's weights on your wrists, tied to your wrists, and the arms are being drawn down by that weight. The shoulders moving away from the ears. And at the same time, the crown of the head lifting up toward the ceiling. And now as you exhale, let the chin release down toward the front of your chest slowly. You can pause there for a breath or two. And then maybe start a little bit of movement side to side with your chin, moving it an inch or two to one side and then to the other. Continuing side to side. And then eventually sweeping your chin from one shoulder all the way across to the other shoulder. Again, that idea of noticing what's present in your neck and shoulders. There may be pain or tension. It may feel really smooth. You might hear some noises in there. But whatever you discover, accepting as it is right now, letting go of any need for it to be different. Eventually letting the head come back to center. And then you can allow the back to round a little bit, stretching out the back of the neck. And then as you start to inhale, lifting the chest, drawing the shoulders back, finding a little bit of arch in the back, and then exhaling, softening and rounding. As you inhale and lift the chest, you can lift the chin slightly, but really being cautious not to throw your head back. So you want to keep it in line with your spine as you move. Do a few more movements like this with your breath if that's comfortable for you. You can always breathe freely and just do the movement at a comfortable pace anytime. Anytime I make suggestions about the breath, it's really suggestions. It's most important that you're breathing in a way that's comfortable to you. Great. And then as you come back upright, finding neutral in your spine, so you're not rounded or arched, you can take the legs just a little bit wider so you've got some good balance. And if you're sitting cross-legged or feet on the floor, hands on the knees is absolutely fine. We'll do a few circles here. So again, noticing, what do I feel in my body as I do this? We often actually check out and numb out. Right? We have these pathways that try to avoid pain and tension. And anything we avoid has this tricky way of coming back through the back door and kind of sneaking up on us. So when we really notice, acknowledge, and accept what is, it opens the door for us to be able to let go. If we're in denial, there's no letting go. So switch directions if you haven't already. Tune in, check in. What do you notice? Can you be present and be with whatever you notice in your body without wishing it were different this morning? And then gradually coming back to the center. Well, let's bring the palms together. Put a little pressure into your hands until you feel a little bit of stretch into the forearms. And if you put even a little more pressure, you might feel these muscles across the shoulders and the chest engaging. Allow that engagement to help you to sit up, feel tall and proud. And then you can lift the hands, breathing in. And then releasing, exhale, lowering the arms down to your sides. And you can bring the hands back to the center. And then again, lifting and opening to release. If you want to coordinate your breathing here, inhale as you lift, exhale as you circle, and modify if it's challenging for your shoulders this morning. Don't lift as high. Finding the expression of this pose that works for your body. Always, with every pose. Letting the arms come down to your sides again. We'll lift up, and we're going to come into a forward bend, exhaling as you come forward. Now again, if you find it helpful to make a little noise, to sigh as you exhale, you can add that in here as well. Let's make this the last one, and if it's comfortable for you, you can go ahead and stay. And if you're staying, it could be forearms on your thighs, or you could bring your chest down onto your thighs, the arms could dangle down, head releasing. Finding that position that's comfortable for you, stay for a few breaths, and have that intention, maybe as you inhale, accepting whatever is in this moment. Exhale, letting go of the tension or the need to hold on or obsess about whatever it is that you're noticing. When you're ready to come up, you might bring your hands onto your thighs again and then lift up. And as you reach up overhead, you can bring the palms back together and back into the heart. From here, let's do a little movement for the wrists. So starting with those circles where we bring the palms down, backs of the hands together, fingers roll towards you, and then out. And you could think of this as a gesture of letting go. We'll bring the hands in toward, down, and then back together. So again, that pattern coming down, first palms down. Sometimes it's a bit hard to wrap the head around. Backs of the hands in, come out. And this gesture of releasing, of letting go of what doesn't serve us, but not forcing. It's not like we're kicking it out, just releasing, giving it the opportunity to release. And then backs of the hands come back together in, down, and around back to the heart. Let's do that one more time. So down, palms down, backs of the hands are rolling around, and then letting go. And then back in, around, and to the heart. And take a couple more releasing breaths here. You can release the hands or keep them at the heart as you like. This idea of, again, breathing in and exhale through the mouth, if that's comfortable for you. Make some sound if you like, or not. I tend to hold a lot of tension in my jaw, so I find it helpful when I exhale, really open my mouth. Let go of some of that tension. You can see if that helps you too. And then with your mouth a little bit open, pick your jaw, one side, the other side. You don't need to use your hand. I'm just doing that for demonstrating, but side to side. You can circle around. Right. And the face also is an area where we do hold a lot of tension. You know, maybe not so much these days when we're not going out as much, but we tend to put on a face to go out into the world. And sometimes that becomes such a habit that we come home and we still having a lot of technical issues today. And I just had to switch back off my cell phone because it dropped me as well. So hoping that we'll get to keep going and finish the class today, and letting go of what I can't control. So this is a perfect little lesson for me as well, to let go of what I can't control, which is the internet. So coming back to your breath, a couple more breaths of just finding that sense of ease and softness, letting go. So now let's lean back in the chair a little bit, or if you're on the ground, you can stretch one leg out and bring the other knee in toward your chest. And then release, come to sit up, take a breath in, and then exhale. You can round the back as you bring the knee in. So we'll lift up, inhaling, exhale, alternating knees coming in toward the chest. And really one of the best things I find, along with the breath, just to disrupt that unhelpful cycle of thinking, obsessive thinking, is literally just to move my body in any way. And that's why getting up and out of bed in the morning, if I'm in that mode, and just moving around can be so helpful. Okay, once more. And then come back to the first leg that you had up, if you remember. And then rather than being rounded and leaning back, see if you can sit up a little more, and you're going to circle your ankle around. Just as you are, just where you are, just circle that ankle around. All right, and you're going to bring the other knee in now. And again, sitting up and circling that ankle around. Great. And then bringing the foot down, let's come back to a few rounds of cat-cow. So inhaling, finding a little lift or arch in the spine, exhaling and rounding. Okay, coming back to a neutral spine. Let's lift one arm, bringing the other hand to the seat of your chair or to the floor if you're on the floor. And we'll lift up and a little bit to the side. You want to make sure that you're still anchored on both sit bones so you're not going to fall off your chair. And come up. We'll switch. So bring that hand down, lift the other arm up, reaching to the side. Coming back. So a little swaying side to side, supporting yourself with the arm that's behind you or on the ground. And tuning into what you notice in the sides of your body. After a few times, you can stay for a few breaths if that's comfortable for you. When you're staying, have this arm bent so that you're not kind of bringing the shoulder up to the ear, so that shoulder stays down. You're sitting on both sit bones, and you're not trying to go over as far as you can. I could certainly go further over. I want to keep myself anchored down and then find this lift all through the side, up the arm, right up to the fingertips. And then if you're holding, switch. If you prefer just to keep moving side to side, if that feels better for you, then absolutely do that. And then back to the center. And once again, lifting both arms. We'll add a forward bend here, coming over the legs, letting the head release. And lifting. Coming forward. Good. And again, you can stay in that forward bend if that's comfortable for you. Take a few breaths here and come back to that exhale focus. So you're really letting go, softening, and feeling that sense of release as you exhale here a few more times. Well, you can inhale as well. Breathe here a few more breaths. Great. And then as you're ready, you can lift all the way up, reaching up. And then big sweep with your arms coming down. And then let's come to a standing position. Move your chair aside, or if you've been sitting on the floor, moving your cushion aside, or in my case, moving the dog aside. So coming to mountain pose. So your feet are about parallel to one another, hip distance apart. The heels sinking down into the earth. And then bringing the hands to the hips, take your feet a little bit apart and do a few circles here. So now that we're standing, feeling how the hips feel as you bring some movement in. And again, notice what's present. So again, I said earlier that we often numb out or kind of push painful experiences away. And when we do that, they tend to come in the back door and find us. So if we can really make friends with our physical pain as well as our emotional pain, allow its expression, and from that place of allowing, softening to let go, not from a place of pushing, right, of creating tension. And no, that sort of energy just creates more tension in us. If you've been circling one way, circle the other as well. You're really honestly tuning in and noticing what's there without trying to push it away. And then if it's comfortable for you, you can take the feet even slightly wider apart. And then you'll turn one foot, doesn't really matter which foot. If you're mirroring me, it's going to be your right foot, I believe. And then bending your right knee so that your knee sits right over the ankle. Taking the arms to the sides, roughly parallel to the ground. Now, if this creates, I feel like I'm camouflaged with the bricks here in this outfit. If you find your shoulders or your arms get tired or feel sore here, bend your arms a little and turn the palms up. And we're going to keep the legs and hips in the same position and reach out towards the right. And then reach back towards the left. And it may just be an inch or two that you move. Don't force your body beyond what feels comfortable. Just finding that separation. If the hips and the ribs can move separately. You can even try some circles with your rib cage if you're feeling a little bit adventuresome here. And then coming back to the center, warrior two. From here, you can let the hand drop down onto the leg. Take the other arm, reach it up. And then bringing it behind your back with the palm facing away from you. And lift that shoulder a little. And turn back to look towards the left if you like, or you can look down toward the right, whatever is comfortable for your neck. Okay, let's lift that arm up and reach up now, back to warrior two. And you can straighten your right leg, or whichever leg you've been using, and back to the center. So let's take it to the other side. Turning the foot straight out, bending the knee so it's straight over the ankle. You can play around with the angle of your back foot till it feels comfortable. So it might be straight, it might be slightly turned in, or even a little bit turned out. So you find what works for you. And then arms to the sides. Again, bending and letting the hands just relax if that feels more comfortable for you. Or really engaging the arms and reaching out if you want to find a bit more strength here in warrior two. So letting go is actually not as easy as it sounds, right? We go, oh, just let it go, as if that's something easy. Right? But letting go is actually, can be quite hard. We tend to hold on to things. Well, let's move the rib cage a little one way, a little the other, and just really be tuning in that you're not going too far. If there's issues with your lower back and you're feeling any pinching, just to stay stationary in this pose. And then we'll move down into the side angle, so reaching down for the leg, other arm reaching up, and then turning the palm back so it's facing away from you. Bring the hand behind your back, lift the upper shoulder, and again, you can look either behind you towards the right or down towards the left, or wherever it's comfortable for your head. It could be straight ahead. And then taking the arm up, lift back up to warrior two. Find your center there. And then you can slowly release your arms. Turn your feet parallel again. And step your feet together. Good, so back to mountain pose. We'll come into a few forward bends. So reaching up with the breath in. You can soften and bend your knees as you allow the body to drape over your legs. And then coming up with a long spine, back upright. If an intermediate sort of position is better for you with the hands on the knees, please take that option. If it feels better for you to bring your hands maybe to a surface like the couch or a chair, that's also a great option. Or you can reach all the way down towards the ground. If it's comfortable for you to stay in a forward bend, go ahead and stay. You can bring your hands or your elbows onto your thighs, or again, hands on a chair or another surface that's handy or comfortable. And then let your head go. You can even give your head a little shake. Maybe nodding yes, nodding no a few times. So letting go of tension in the neck, but also acknowledging what's there, what's present. When you're ready to come up, we'll bend the knees and lift all the way up. And then release the arms down to your sides. Let's make our way onto the ground now. And one of the poses that we'll end up doing when we're on the ground, it's called, in Sanskrit, it's Supta Baddha Konasana, but in English, it's butterfly pose. And or bound angle pose. So we'll have the feet together and the knees apart. If you know that you want some support under your knees, you might want to get a couple of cushions or a couple of blocks, or maybe towels or blankets to roll up and tuck under your knees. So we'll get there at some point. So just before you lie down, you want to make sure you've got what you need. And if you want support under your head, you can use a pillow or a blanket to support you. So you're going to come down onto the mat, onto your back. And as you get there, let your hands come to rest on your body somewhere where you're able to feel your breath. You can keep your knees bent or straighten them as you like. And again, if you want some support underneath your head, use a blanket or a pillow. And then simply tune into your breath. And as you exhale, again, you could open your mouth, maybe make a little sound if that's comfortable for you. And have the feeling that you're softening tension in your body. And even dropping a little into the earth. If your mind is busy, notice that. Don't try to stop your thoughts. It tends to backfire. Just acknowledge, be with whatever is present. And then letting the arms come away from the body out to the sides of the ways, relaxed on the ground. If your legs are straight, you're going to want to bend your knees and bring your heels in so that they're more or less underneath your knees. And then as you exhale, put a little more pressure into your feet so that for your next inhale, you might lift the hips a little off the ground. And then lower them down with an exhale. As always, you can coordinate with your breath or not. So there's no rule that says you have to coordinate with your breath. You may find it more comfortable just to lift and lower and let your breath be natural. Next time you come to the ground, stay there. You can leave the arms out to the sides now and shuffle your feet in side by side, knees side by side. And we'll start dynamically with this butterfly pose, opening the knees as you breathe in and closing the knees as you breathe out. And again, coordinating the breath is optional. And then if it feels comfortable for you, and again, if you want support, I find it helpful for me to support my knees, but lots of people don't feel that need. So there's no right or wrong here. So it could be towels, blankets, pillows, blocks, whatever you've got. Maybe a cat under each knee. And you'll take a few breaths here. The hands can rest on the thighs or on the belly. You're simply tuning in. What is present? What do you notice? What are you aware of? If you like, and especially if there's some tension there, you can use that sounding with your exhale to let go of tension. And if you find you're in this pose and there's just more tension than you're able to soften, you might want to come out of the pose, take a break for a minute, maybe come back in, or go back to moving dynamically. So spend another few breaths here, whether it's staying in the pose or moving dynamically, or even coming out of the pose if you've had enough. Focusing on where you can soften. And then eventually, you can bring the knees back together. And then we're going to take the feet a little wider. Bring your knees together and just let the knees support one another. So we're doing the opposite movement now. Instead of external rotation for the hips, it's internal rotation. Just a little bit of a counter pose for a moment. And again, you can rest here, focusing on the breath. Maybe adding a little bit of sound or release with your exhale. Right, and then shuffling the feet back towards each other so they're about hip distance apart. And we'll bring one knee in toward the chest. You can hold behind the thigh if you like, or you can hold over the shin if you like. Tune into your knee, make sure it's comfortable if you're holding over the shin. Take a few breaths here again, noticing what's present. Try to be really honest with yourself. Noticing what is actually present, even if it is a little uncomfortable. And you can always adjust, right, to be as comfortable as possible. But sometimes where there's arthritis or other injuries or issues, there may be a little discomfort, even a little bit of pain, and we have to kind of move through that. And it's sometimes challenging to find out or to figure out for yourself what is the kind of pain that I want to push through and move with, and what is the kind of pain I want to avoid. So usually sharp pain, especially in the joints, you want to back away from that. But if there's a little bit of discomfort, that feeling of being stretched, as long as you can relax with that feeling, it's generally fine. Okay, let's switch legs. So bringing that leg down. Again, finding the place that's comfortable to hold on. Letting the knees soften in towards the body. Softening your shoulders as well. Noticing if you've brought tension into your jaw or your face. And then really acknowledging and being with what's present for you right now without pushing it away. But softening, letting go of the tension that may be associated with that, whatever it is. When you're ready, you can release that leg. We'll come back to the first leg. And here you can either hold on or not. It doesn't matter, whatever works best for you. We'll straighten and bend the leg a few times. So you'll reach up toward the ceiling, bend in toward the body. So we're asking these big muscles of the back of the leg, the hamstrings, 3 big muscles that run from the knee up to the hip. Asking them to soften and stretch a little. And when we move dynamically, we ease into that stretch. So we're not just going to our edge and staying there and creating potential tension there. You can stay with the leg up in the air for a few breaths. Here again, if it's comfortable to hold on and gently encourage a bit more stretch, you're welcome to do that. But if that creates tension, you're much better off stretching less and being comfortable. Soften and bring that knee back into your chest. And then if you like, you can extend the other leg on the ground and maybe do some circles with the leg that's in your hands. Now it could be one hand on the leg, on the knee, or both hands, or even no hands if that feels better for you. And then one more little squeeze in and bring that foot to the floor. Bring the opposite knee now into your chest. And here again, you have the choice. Hold on behind the knee or not at all as you straighten and bend. And by straighten, I don't mean it has to be straight, right? For you, there may be quite a bend in your knee when you're starting to feel quite a stretch in the back of the legs. So honor your body, listen to where your limits are, honor your limits, and let go of any judgment that might come up with that. But eventually you can leave the leg up in the air if that works for you. If not, just bend the knee. And if you want a little more and that feels good to you and you can relax with that little bit of extra stretch, you can invite the leg a little closer to your body using your hands, or if your hands don't reach behind your leg, it might be that you have a belt or even a sock or a tie works, whatever you need to extend your reach. And then soften that knee into your chest. Again, you can hold on behind, above, or not at all. And if you like, you can stretch out the opposite leg for a few breaths and maybe add some movement for that bent knee or bent leg. Circling or side to side, whatever feels good. And then let's bring that foot to the floor and bend both knees now. Take the arms out to the sides and we'll do a little bit of a twist. So let's start by just taking one leg to the side, noticing that little bit of twist that comes into the spine as you take that leg to the side, and then the other leg to the side. And again, there's just a little bit of a twist that comes when you do one leg at a time. So try that a couple of times each side. And then if you want more twist, you can, instead of just taking the one knee down, you can let both knees go to the side. Any amount, right? So it could be one knee goes all the way down, the other just goes part way, or it could be that the knees come all the way down together. So find the expression of the pose that works best for you. But there's no right or wrong. And really what we're looking for is as much ease as possible. So even when there's a little bit of discomfort, can you maintain a sense of ease and softness in the body? When we create tension in our practice, we're actually going in the opposite direction than what we want out of our practice, which is more ease, more openness, more ability to release and let go. If it feels good for you, you can stay for a few breaths to one side. If that feels like too much, just keep on moving. If you're staying on one side for a few breaths, stay on the other side as well for a few breaths. And then eventually find your way back to the center. If you feel like your hips have shifted one way or another, you might just lift them up and bring them down so you feel centered with your spine. And then both knees come into the chest, take one hand to each knee. And you can draw the knees forward and back a few times. So we're bringing the spine back to alignment. A little more movement for the lower back and the hips. If you want to coordinate your breathing, inhale when the knees are away. Exhale as they come in. As they're moving away, you can breathe in. And as they're moving towards you, breathing out. As always, following whatever breath pattern feels most comfortable for you if the breathing in coordination with the movement doesn't feel quite right. You can add some circles here, circling the knees around. Circling in one direction and then in the other direction. And then holding the knees, you can either continue to hold onto the knees or reach over your shins, maybe rock side to side. The other option here is hands underneath the knees so that you're not putting tension on the knees or even arms on the ground. When you feel complete with that, when you feel like you've given your back a nice little massage against the ground and released any tension in the lower back that you're able to release, you can come back to feet on the floor, or you can stretch your legs out. We're moving into Shavasana now, so find a comfortable position and maybe adding a layer of clothing or a blanket if you need to be comfortable. If you prefer to sit, if you don't find lying down so comfortable, you're welcome to come upright to do more of a seated meditation for your Shavasana rather than lying down. Give you a minute to get yourselves comfortable. When you get settled and you find that comfy position that you can hang out in for at least 5 minutes or so, you're going to come back to your breath and it's that simple act of exhaling and letting go. Of course, you're inhaling every breath, but our emphasis is on noticing where there's tension, softening it as you exhale. So we're not trying to push away challenging or difficult feelings or sensations. Acknowledge what's present and soften as you exhale. Accepting what is as you inhale and releasing what you no longer need, what no longer serves you as you exhale. If it helps, you can exhale through the mouth. Some people find that that's a little more releasing, especially if you tend to hold tension in your jaw. Or you can inhale and exhale through the nose. So softening, softening, softening. With each exhalation, let go a little more with the jaw, the face. Let the weight of your head sink down. Feel your shoulders release, area where we commonly hold tension. So as you inhale, notice your shoulders. As you exhale, find even a little more softness. A few more breaths, softening shoulders and then arms and down to the hands. Let all around your ribcage soften. Feel the breath moving in your torso wherever it moves. And wherever you're aware of holding, wherever you're aware of tension, see if there's any softening available to you as you exhale. And if not, simply notice and accept what is in this moment. Feel the weight of your pelvis drop down and soften where you can. Be aware of what's present for you, any thoughts, emotions, or physical sensations. As they arise, accept with open arms whatever comes up, and then soften to relax and let go. We're not pushing away, creating space for everything that is, letting go of what we don't need. Soften your thighs, your knees. Letting go of the calves, ankles, and feet. I'd like to share a chant with you today that is all about letting go. And when we're ready to let go of whatever we're holding on to, this chant says it just releases like a cucumber from a vine. When it's ripe, it just releases. So when we're ripe and ready to let go, that letting go becomes a natural progression. Even if there's grief, sadness in letting go, that's all part of the normal experience of being human. Triambakaya Jamahe Sugandhyam Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityor Mukshiyamamritate. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So if you're ready to come out of Shavasana, you can start to breathe a little more deeply, a little more fully. And if you want to spend a bit more time, if you want to stay in Shavasana, spend a bit more time integrating the practice, maybe working with the letting go breath of focusing on the exhale. Feel free to stay. You can stop the recording or ignore me or sign out of the meeting if you're live. And if you're ready to come back and move into your day, you can start to add some movement. Maybe wiggle your fingers and toes first to wake up the energy there. Maybe ankles and wrists start to move, and then gradually make those moves bigger, moving into the knees, elbows, hips, and shoulders, the spine, and just moving the body in any way that would feel good to you right now. If you're ready to come back upright, you can roll onto your side, take your time. And come slowly back to sitting as you're ready. And then bringing your palms together. Let's really acknowledge and recognize together that letting go can be challenging, right? And when we're not ready, it feels like something is being torn away from us. So practicing accepting what is, softening and letting go of tension as we're able, and never ever forcing ourselves beyond what we're able or capable of meeting at each moment. Namaste. So if you're back with me, have a great day. And if you're still in Shavasana, enjoy.